Hello guys and welcome back to my channel. Today I can proudly announce that I am a full-time student at Tilburg University in psychology. Today I want to give you a quick update about how my life is, how uni life is, and also what technical devices I use during my uni life. So, coming to the first point, what is uni life like? I have four-ish courses right now, so it's experimental psychology, research methodology, academic skills A, and introduction to history of psychology and psychology. I'm really happy to be here and I'm really excited actually because all the classes I do are very interesting, although they're vary in their interestingness. So, as I really like experimental psychology because it teaches you about our senses and how our brain perceives them. So it's like this distinction between sensation and perception. History of psychology is more about like people and philosophers in the first, like in Greek and then in Islamic countries. But later on, until coming to Wundt, psychology emerged and developed into scientific science. So it's more about getting to know different people and their methods, as well as the things they researched and studied. Academic skills A is rather about how do we present, how do we read scientific sources, how do we write scientific sources and studies, how do we make them up. On the other side, we have research methodology, which is more about how do we make research, good research. So it's about different types of claims, it's about validities. So how do I make my scientific results valid so that I can be sure that they are good in different levels. To round this up, I just want to say that it's really interesting, but on the other side it's also a lot. So during one lecture, which is like 45 minutes, and we have a break and another 45 minutes, it's a lot of things and a lot of stuff which can get into your brain, into your memory, or which you have to know somehow or get to know. So on the one hand, it's really interesting, which makes you listen and want to understand this stuff, but on the other hand, it's also a lot to study and a lot of memorizing. In order to study and memorize, I of course need help, and in this case, in my case, it's technical devices, which I want to present you now. So, first of all, I have my MacBook Air. This is my laptop I got for my 18th birthday 2 years ago, and it made good jobs ever since. So I have my book PDFs on here because I don't want to carry any books because they're really heavy and big or thick, as you want to say it, many pages. So I don't want to have that. That's why I have all the PDFs in one folder on my MacBook. I also use it to write down notes in Notion. Notion is a note-taking app which you can use to organize your thoughts, organize to-do lists. You also have calendar. You can put your notes into there. There's a whole variety of things you can do there. Basically, it's about notes, taking notes, organizing notes, putting them into different structures. So this is what I use my MacBook for. Next, we have my iPad. This is the iPad Air 3, as I suppose, which I bought, I think, a year or two ago. No, actually this year probably. which is really, really helpful because I can take notes on the app Good Notes. There are different apps you can use, but I personally like Good Notes because you can use this pen, which is not an Apple pen, but a pen which you can use to write on iPad. It's really good, like to save paper, of course, but also to have this written motion. And there is science or studies which have shown that you memorize stuff better when you write them down. Well, I also use my iPad for Notion, of course. So when I'm reading a book on my MacBook and I want to take notes in my Notion or in my Good Notes, I use my iPad. Of course, not always easy to use the keyboard on the iPad, so that's why I have a Bluetooth keyboard. It's pretty small. I don't know. It's from Apple. I don't know the name actually, but it's really helpful to like type stuff into Notion. And I also really like it because it's Bluetooth and you can charge it, so you don't need any batteries or something. So that's really helpful. To sum this up, it's really good to have some digital devices like an iPad or a laptop or something like that, because you can't do everything with just your mobile phone or your phone. That's why you need something to write stuff down. Either you use a pen and paper, but because I don't want to, like spend too much paper, I use my iPad, so I have everything with me all my time. I don't have to have a big folder or something. So this is really a good advantage of having an iPad. Of course, this setup is somehow expensive, but you can get stuff really good on second-hand sites, for example, back markets, so which is really helpful. So I would encourage you to do that. Lastly, I want to talk about my learning methods. So there are different kinds of classes, which leads to different kinds of learning and studying. So there are lectures where we watch videos before the actual lecture. We read books or chapters. We watch videos. We study studies maybe. And then we go to the lecture having all this knowledge and then asking questions. So it's basically a Q&A at the lecture. Then there are other lectures where we just go to the lecture and go and get all the information. So for example, in experimental psychology, I don't have a really clue what we are going to talk about or what the lecturer is going to talk about. But so I go there and I let all the information like dribbling on me without taking any notes actually. So I started taking notes, but it was really stressful because the lecturer was talking really fast, so there was a high amount of information, and I couldn't keep up, and I didn't understand much. So what I'm doing now is I don't take any notes, but I use my time to listen to the lecturer, trying to understand a lot, looking at the slides, listening, and then after the lecture I'm going to take notes, and then you put them into Notion. I don't really know if this is the right thing to do actually, or I rather should directly go from the slides to Notion, or if I have this step between taking notes and good notes and then putting this into Notion. It's the same for history. So right now I'm taking the book, read the chapter, and while reading the chapter, I put notes into Notion. But I do differently with the videos for history of psychology. So I watch the video, take notes, and then I add them to Notion. So I'm not really manifested with the way I want to study, how I want to take notes, how I want to make up my notes in general. But this is the thing I want to focus in the next weeks, until actually my first exams come in, I don't know, 3-4 weeks. So this is not a lot of time, but I'm really excited to learn more about psychology, learn about me as a studier. I'm really interested in how I will improve during this time, not just mentally and in terms of my knowledge I gain, but also in the way I study, the way I adapt to new situations. This is really interesting, and I'm looking forward. So, thank you for watching. I hope you will follow my journey through uni, as I will post more videos about studying, about study techniques, study methods, of course, also about psychology, knowledge, and information we gain in the lectures. So if you are one person who watches and you're interested in anything, just let me know so I can kind of direct my content to this direction. If it's experimental psychology, anything about the vision, anything about memory, about learning, about certain people in history who kind of influenced psychology, like the early stage with Socrates, Plato, Aristotle, or later with Wundt, Helmholtz, and other people. Just let me know, so I will give you a short overview or a longer overview about what was happening. So stay tuned and see you next time.